Should we be policing the police?
What do you think is better for justice? Cops, Batman, or Dexter?
Should we bring back the beat cop?
Is it okay to shoot back at a cop?
Do we need more Phoenix Joneses in the world?
Are cops no better than stormtroopers?
Enabled on deep sea diving. Loading parent crossing line. Loading PC roster. Visualizing season 6 of Kitchen Sick Microscopy.
Well, everybody, welcome to another Kitchen Sink Microscopy. I'm Eric Rosenblatt, and we'd love it if you'd like and share this video. Leave a comment down there in the comment section if you feel so inclined, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Yeah.
If you haven't already, what's wrong with you? This is season 6 now. Welcome to season 6. That's like 5 years already. That's awesome. I am Casey Rochford. You knew that by now because you've been with us for all 5 years, right? So you already know the spiel. Stick around to the end, and there's a song there. And we wrote the song. So
Yeah.
that's cool, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, what are we going to kick off season 6 with?
Well,
With a bang.
With a bang, exactly. Well, yeah, because I mean, this is a topic that's kind of tied in with one of our very first episodes, like I think it was episode 4 or something from season 1 about police brutality and that kind of thing. So I'm sure by now everybody has seen Acorn Cop, and if you haven't, just go to YouTube and type in Acorn Cop, and you can see commentary about it. You can see the whole video. I think Donut Operator has like the body cam footage just in full, and you can see where essentially there was some kind of altercation. These two cops arrest a guy and put it. Well, they I think they hadn't arrested him yet. They put him something about he supposedly had like a suppressed pistol or something, and they put him in the back of the patrol vehicle. And
That's arrest. That's a custodial arrest.
Well, I think it was like they're like, we're going to put you here temporarily while we're sorting things out and interviewing people because they didn't want him to like leg it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so anyway, the guy's in the back of the vehicle, cuffed. So maybe he was arrested. I can't remember. But he's handcuffed and they searched him. You can see it on the body cam footage. They searched him, handcuffed him, put him in the back of the vehicle, and they're over interviewing and talking to some other people, right? And the guy is walking by the vehicle, and an acorn bounces off the top of his vehicle, falls from a nearby tree, bounces off of it, and the cop immediately goes like gung-ho mode, and he's like, shots fired, and does this like multiple rolls like some kind of cartoon character, and then proceeds to like unload mag dump into that vehicle in his own patrol car. And then he's like, I'm hit, and he's like crawling across and stuff, and the other cop, who's a woman, was on the other end down like talking to people, and she starts responding because he's yelling shots fired and starts shooting. So she responds and starts shooting too, mag dumping into the vehicle from the other direction. Now, when you see in the footage, this is the stupid thing. It's like, man, these cops have not been trained in any like real world way. Like, because I mean, if they were in the military, stuff like this would never happen. Because from the angle from the female officer's perspective, she's basically shooting in the direction of her fellow officer. He's just right next to the vehicle, laying on the ground, and she's like shooting just kind of wildly into the vehicle. But it's like that's crossfire. You do not do that. Never ever. The muzzle is never in the direction of somebody unless it's like, I don't know, there's certain exceptions, but this was not one of them. And the
knee
crazy
jerk
thing,
shit is like, wow. Like,
well,
do they have any training or like any psychological help to do their job
well,
whatsoever?
we should definitely get into that. But like, here's the thing. This is the wild thing, that the guy survived. The suspect they had in the back of the car, like they mag dumped two people, mag dumped into the vehicle, and the guy survived.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I think I sent you a clip that was
Mhm.
commenting about that, and then the two female officers going to the house, right? You
Yeah,
saw
in
that?
Houston or something,
Yeah.
right?
So
Dallas,
the
Houston,
story
Texas.
there, the story there is a woman uh, was locked out of her house, and she ended up having to break in to her own house to get in. So she like
Yeah.
breaks the window, goes in, and stuff like that happens. You lose your keys, or lock doesn't work, or something like that. It happens. But it was her own house. Okay.
Mhm.
Neighbors called the cops about a break-in, which is weird because it's like, hey, do we talk to our neighbors anymore? Like, do they not know that lady lives there? Like, who? It's so weird. I hate.
I mean, you probably can't see that well in the dark. Blah blah blah. Like I
Well, it was
kind of.
daytime. It was daytime.
Oh,
Yeah, it was daytime.
jeez.
And
Uh,
so these two cops show up at the house, and I think they knocked or something like that. And the woman, uh, like, oh no, wait,
they
maybe it was.
walked around, decided there was nothing wrong. Like they didn't see anything wrong. I guess the broken window wasn't
Yeah, yeah.
suspicious at all.
Actually, now
And
that I think about it, it might have been nighttime, so maybe the call
probably
was
was.
legit. But so anyway, they knock on the door or whatever. They're patrolling around, looking at stuff, and trying to see what's going on, analyzing the situation. And so the owner of the house, she comes to the door armed, because it's like, it's right, it's nighttime. So she's like, well, who's knocking on my door at this hour? She's like got her sidearm with her or whatever. And the cops see that, and both of them just unleash a hailstorm of rounds, it just all across the side, through the door, through the walls, through the window. Both of them in the body cam footage, there's like two
Yeah.
handguns, like pop, 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 and then they're like reloading and pop, 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 pop,
Yeah.
like, and
I counted four clips each.
mhm.
Like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that like over 200 bullets, right?
Well, so they're probably something akin. I can't remember what they had. I mean, maybe a SIG or something. So that's probably like a 15, 16 round magazine or something. So yeah, you're right. That's a lot of lead coming through the house. And this lady also lived.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do cops have, like stormtrooper accuracy or something like that? Like,
pretty much.
come on. I mean, good God.
Okay, so let's God, there's a lot to unpack here.
Well, and there's many more things, but let's focus on like these two as kind of like a good starting point.
So first of all, like a technicality, if the police are even talking to you and in a situation where they don't want you to leave until they say so, that's considered custodial arrest. Right up until they read you your rights, when that's like an official arrest. Okay. So if you're in the back of a cop car, and you don't have a blanket over you and a cup of coffee, like you are under custodial arrest. Like if they're just comforting you after an accident, no. But well, I mean, maybe actually, I don't know, but
could be.
That would be a question for a lawyer.
Yeah,
but I just remember that from my law class in high school, which kind of odd to have a law class in high school. But cool
I took a law class in high school too. I think we probably took from the same teacher.
Yeah.
Was it Mr. Davis? I think.
Yeah, that sounds
familiar. It's been a long time. So
Davies.
That's right. Yeah. So he was a practicing lawyer, but who also taught that class, which is cool. I think it was a very interesting class.
Yeah, there was a lot of good info there,
and a lot of really
help me get away with a lot of crap.
Good thing your voice got a little garbled there at the end, so nobody knows what you actually said, and it's plausible deniability.
That's the rub.
Yeah. No, it was a compression artifact.
Oh.
I think
Well,
everybody should take at least some basic law classes just to kind of familiarize yourself with the way the system works.
mhm.
That I think that's a good thing. Granted, you're never going to know all of the stuff, and neither do the cops. They just kind of act and then retroactively go back and try to justify their actions. And obviously, they have great lawyers.
So here's the thing: I'm wondering, how come body cam footage never seems to show like the initiating like altercation or thing that the cop is responding to? It always just starts with them like unloading their clip.
Well, I think
Does
when
it
you're
only
seeing
activate when they start shooting, or is it just always running?
if I recall, that like the Axon body cameras that most cops use is almost like a dash cam. It's always rolling, like
Right.
recording. So like it basically should theoretically get an entire day. I think they can turn it off. Like, oh, you got to go to the bathroom. Obviously,
Right.
You can turn it
But
off.
so what I don't know is like, did this lady come to her door with the gun sticking out
No,
of the door like a dumbass, or was it like hidden behind her? Because
think-
like,
she had it in her hand, I think, and the cop saw through the window as she approached the door, and then immediately acted. Which that's something really. This goes into the whole training thing that we definitely need to discuss because I think cops are trained very poorly.
oh yeah,
I think
you go through 4 years of school here in Germany to become a police officer, and they aren't armed, and it's never a problem.
I really wish that a prerequisite to becoming a cop is military service, because cops, they, especially fresh cops, they haven't experienced combat, right? Like they and
but that's not necessarily like a
well, no, you do
combat,
obviously
like PTSD and all that.
No,
stuff.
you would eliminate people with PTSD, but the thing is, like, it's different. You react and respond differently to situations when you've been in combat than when you haven't. Like people who have not seen combat tend to react very irrationally. And suddenly it's like fear for your life kind of thing. And I think that
you probably know this because your dad was a Marine, but you never wake up a Marine. Like
no, my dad served in Nam too, no less.
Yeah,
which
like,
is one
they're kind of like programmed to just be killing machines, right? So like,
well, kind of, but not like an autonomic response killing machine, more like a calculated killing machine, because obviously you don't want friendly fire. You hear people shooting around you. You don't want to be like that scene in a Predator where they just like unload into the jungle, like that dude.
Is it my turn now?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think some military service would be beneficial, or maybe here's a wild idea: maybe just change the scope of what police do. Safety, security, that's basically it.
There's a lot of stuff that needs to change, but I mean, definitely like training for this type of stuff. Like sometimes they actually need to do this stuff. Yeah, no question.
Sure.
But like they need like extensive training around that. They need training on how to escalate first.
Yes.
They need training, like defensive training, instead of all this offensive crap. Like I almost think maybe like maybe cops should be unarmed when they start their job. Like you have to get to a certain level of experience as a cop before you get a firearm. Like
firearm, but maybe they could carry like pepper spray and a taser.
Yeah.
Right.
Like anything non-lethal is fine, but like
I and be
Yeah.
accompanied by a more experienced officer who is armed. So like they're not completely defenseless like they are in, say, like the UK.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they've got the proper training, yeah.
And that's the thing, is like the training, I think, is really the key here, because if you're trained like for situations like that, there's no way you would just immediately react because an acorn bounced off of a vehicle. You would recognize that there was a sound that could possibly be a suppressed discharge of a pistol or something, but then you'd analyze the situation before responding. Like you always have to do that. Take in the situation and ensure that what you're doing, your response, is justified, is rational. And you could do that in a matter of just a few seconds. Like if he just turned around and saw that there were no holes in his patrol vehicle, like, okay, well, obviously that wasn't somebody shooting at me, like,
I mean, like, if they had any common sense, even they would know, like, if you were being shot at, you wouldn't hear it until you were already hit.
if it's far enough away. Yeah, I mean, if you're, that tends to be more like when you're very far away, like half a kilometer or something like that. Yeah, but you're right, that is kind of, bullets tend to travel faster than sound.
Yeah, or reaction even.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of more what I'm talking about. It's like
I
by
see,
the time you process what's going on, like you'd already be like hit.
Yeah.
If this is happening behind you and you're like, oh my god, acorn, like
Yeah. Well, and this is
just
not
like the jumpiness that people
the jumpy. And that's where I'm saying, if people had military experience, they probably wouldn't be nearly so jumpy, as long as you eliminate, you factor for PTSD. Because actually you'd be, people with PTSD would be less likely to just start shooting and more likely to like not shoot and respond in some kind of like paranoid way or something like that, like break down essentially. It depends, obviously. It depends on the situation.
That's the problem, is like you give a gun to somebody that has PTSD and it's a wild card. But like more than likely, when you're scared and paranoid, you have a gun and you know that it can kill people. That's probably the first thing your autonomic response does, is like must kill things.
Well, if you're tasked, and this goes back to the training, because there was a company that makes targets for shooting, and they made a series of targets for police that are probably still being sold to police now. Those things are private, like on their site and stuff. They were called like no hesitation targets or something, and that was sort of the doctrine that they were supporting. But not the targets were fulfilling a part of this doctrine, I guess, that police training was perpetuating or whatever. This no hesitation, where they were targets of like a woman holding with a child holding a gun pointed at you, like an old guy with a shotgun. And the idea was to get into the police's mind to like not think and not sympathize with people and just shoot, which is, that right there tells you everything you need to know about the direction the training is going. And we've seen the results of that with those two videos.
Yeah, I wonder what's like more deadly, the school shootings or the police shooting at people in their own freaking cars.
The police, by far, orders of magnitude more deaths from police, and it's probably a lot of unjustified deaths as well. And like you had said before, it's like there are situations where people's lives are in danger and there's a cop and he's got to take the guy down or whoever. But I think a lot of those situations are very murky in their justifiability. And in a lot of ways too, sometimes the presence of the police on its own, it exacerbates the situation to the point where lethal force is used. And if the cops were never there, nobody would have died.
Yeah. One thing I think we should talk about as well that was super interesting about the video that spurred this episode, which we should link to.
Yeah.
The whole question of, if the cops are firing on you without justified reason, can you fire back? And that did not happen in this situation, but it was like the question
Yeah.
of the, that was like the topic that was brought up for whatever reason. And I was kind of hoping it was a real world situation where that happened and there would become some kind of legal precedence for this. But I mean, in Washington State, I know there is a law in the book saying that is like justified.
There is actually legal precedent for that.
Yeah, you can defend yourself against police. Of course, it's probably going to be like the legal battle of a lifetime.
Yes.
But like you would at least have ground to stand on. So like that is important. Like this whole psychology, public relations crap that the police put out, this whole thin blue line stuff, getting people all on board with this idea of, I mean, basically their PR scheme is just like the targets, they're like, oh, police, they're your friends, do whatever the police tell you to do. That's not cool either.
Yeah, that's true. And I think like I was saying earlier, I think changing the scope of what police do would go a long way, not only to changing the public perception of police, but also the engagements with the public and the police. What happens during those engagements. If they were more focused on like real crime, specific, like things having to do with people, I don't know, stealing from people or killing people or rapes or whatever, like that kind of thing, like, and less about nitpicky stuff like, oh, does that person have a little baggie of cocaine on them, and like that kind of thing, or some. I remember seeing videos, plenty of videos where the cops think somebody has something, right? A random on the street person walking, they've got maybe an extendable baton, or maybe they think the person is carrying a gun on, that kind of thing, and they just completely flip out. Like, okay, look, somebody walking, minding their own business that has a gun in a holster is not a threat. Like, that is not a threat. Somebody who's carrying around a little bit of some drug is not a threat at all. Like, they're tasked with enforcing way too many things, and they're also given an ego that's sky high. That oh my God, we are the most awesome thing in the world, and we're here, and we're above everybody else. Kind of is kind of the mentality. And then also, of course, there's the whole brotherhood thing where the cops protect other cops, and then the justice system, of course, is very favorable to police, like heavily weighted in favor of police. So when it comes to he said, she said sort of thing, they always side with police.
And so this is what I think a possible solution would be, because court is one thing, but whatever happens before you even get to that point is what really matters. Like,
especially
that's the life and death. That's the life and death.
It's like, especially when the cops are like unloading into the vehicle they trapped you in.
But the important thing that this lawyer said in this video is that you have the right to defend the life of others. So let's rewind a few years to George Floyd, like on the street with a knee on his neck and a bunch of other cops just kind of standing around watching, and people were like filming it and stuff. If anyone there was armed, they should have been like, get off that guy right now.
Yeah.
And if they were like, don't tell me what to do, the cop here, blah, 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 say, I'm going to warn you one more time, get off that guy's neck right now and explain to me what he did wrong.
Yeah.
There's no reason for that. And if they just don't stop, then go, boom, you
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
take out the cop because that's your duty. Like here in Germany, you have to help people,
Mhm.
like if they're in trouble.
Yeah.
And
Well, and that situation, I mean, yeah, we saw body cam footage and everything, and it's like, okay, that was extreme. That was an extreme method of restraining
Mhm.
somebody that really wasn't justified, especially with how many cops there were in the area. Like, okay, if you're one cop all by yourself and you're up against one other person, yeah, I get you kind of need to go a little further because, well, you need to maintain control of the situation in that.
Mhm.
But like, yeah,
Well,
that's
that's
happened
the
so
other
many
thing.
times.
Like the other criteria for defending yourself was um, what's the word they use? Like it kind of like force, basically
Yeah,
proportional. It has to
proportional.
be
Yeah.
proportional, and
Mhm.
nothing the police do is proportional.
Mm-mm.
You know,
Well, there was that guy the cops like essentially killed almost the same way because he was like illicitly selling cigarettes.
yeah.
Like, where's the threat there to the public or society or whatever that justifies doing like acting in that way? Like, ugh.
I mean,
And
yeah,
that's
the police don't have to follow these same rules. They don't
yeah.
have to justify anything beyond like I feared for my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's it.
And
Just
worst
no good
case,
reason for that. I feared for my life. Oh, okay.
yeah, and worst case scenario, they get paid administrative leave or they're just simply
Yeah.
let go. But if one of us acted similarly, oh, you can guarantee we'd be in prison for a really long time.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, like there's a reason this the psychology in America is one of like a fear hate relationship back and forth between citizens and police. Like they create situations so often that make it obvious they're not there to be our friends or our protectors.
Mhm.
They're just kind of these like
Bullies.
punitive bounty hunters.
They're bullies, is what it
Yeah.
is. In a lot of cases, I mean, not everybody, but they're quite. I mean, the culture
Well,
is one of
as
bullying.
soon as you push them to a certain point or
Mhm.
push back, let's say,
Yeah.
uh, because you know if you're not actually committing a crime and a police officer comes up and starts like interrogating you, in
Mhm.
my eyes, that's the point of aggression. Like
Oh,
they
for
are,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
you
they're
were minding your own
initiating the
business.
force, right?
Sure.
Like,
Now, if they just ask you a question to verify, like to maybe they're trying to track down a suspect and you happen to look like that suspect, right? Okay, sure, right? They're trying to solve a crime essentially, but they don't do any like
yeah.
detective work anymore. But I
And
can
they're
kind of
not
see
even
that.
trained to. So, like,
No, you know, it, my personal view is we don't even need the police at all. We'd be better off with private security that a community hires to patrol the area. Because I mean, really, what are you worried about? You're worried about people breaking into your house. You're worried about people stealing things, people jumping you as you're walking home from school or whatever, that kind of thing. That's what people care about. They don't care about what somebody does in the privacy of their own home. Like that doesn't matter. And and private security, for one, is accountable. You can fire them and
yeah,
hire a different company. You cannot do that. Like in Tacoma, I can't be like, well, you know what? I don't like the TPD. I'm going to fire them and hire the Puyallup tribe police. You can't
right.
do that. You're stuck with it. It's a monopoly, and so that would help because that would also encourage policing to be customer friendly. Um,
Yeah.
and maybe you don't want to kill your customers just because you hear a little bump in the night.
You know what we should try to do is have like set up an interview with a police officer from there in America
Mhm.
and one from here in Germany that speaks English,
Yeah.
um, which is pretty common actually. Um,
Makes sense.
uh, and just kind of talk about all the differences
Mhm.
from police perspective too.
Actually,
Now,
I have a police officer in my family, as
oh,
luck
wow.
would have it. Yeah, like my cousin is a cop.
Yeah, if he's amenable, he or she is amenable to that.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
then
probably. I'll have to.
that would
I don't have a lot of contact recently with that side of the family, but I can
yeah.
investigate.
I mean, yeah, that would be super cool. I haven't met any police officers yet, but I mean the the atmosphere is very different here in Germany. Very, very different. I mean,
Yeah.
like for one thing, uh, the only place I've ever seen armed police officers is at the airports, and they are heavily armed, like
Mhm.
machine gun. They're just walking around with these giant fucking guns. And you know what? When I think about it, that makes sense. They're never armed except in the places where there is like a
A
marked
potential.
increase in potential like
Yeah.
terrorist activity where they might actually need those weapons.
And I'm gonna just guess here, but I'm sure they have like tactical squads they can call upon should the need arise in an engagement with some in some
Yes.
situation.
Yes.
Which makes sense. It's like
Which is all you need.
well, yeah, and here's another thing that I think really needs to happen, and we probably talked about it back in season 1, but we really need to push to bring back beat cops.
Yeah.
Like cops that walk around.
Yeah. Beat cops when they're being bad. Just
yeah, no, not that. The cops that walk around through neighborhoods and towns and cities and stuff, and just be present and interact with the public and stuff. Because it's like, okay, that serves many purposes. One, just the fact that there could be cops walking around anywhere is a huge deterrent to crime. Two, it helps with the public perception aspect of things, and because I mean it helps the public see like, oh yeah, that's the cop that's always walking by. Oh, see him, there he is. I see him every day walking by. Just looking around, and I talked to him. He was at the gas station or something like that kind of thing. And then the cop themselves. So like the case of the woman breaking into her own house. The cops themselves would become familiar with the people who live in the area, and like, oh yeah, if they saw this lady, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's the lady that lives there. It's not some stranger that broke into the house.
Yeah.
That, I mean, there's no perfect solution, but I mean, that at least would go a long way to improving everything.
Right. And in this like technological era, you could create, groups, basically like neighborhood watch WhatsApp groups or whatever. And, like put something out like, hey, I just saw something happen. Did anyone else see or hear that?
Yeah.
Like, these things do already exist.
Oh yeah, and
people are doing this.
Share your doorbell camera footage or something. Oh yeah, this person tried to break in. Here's a picture of them. Be aware. Porch thieves or
stuff
something
like that is probably really helping cut down on unnecessary, like all this frivolous 911 calls and stuff.
Sure. And the thing is, in a lot of jurisdictions, the cops won't respond unless it's like a life or death situation. Like,
well, especially now, yeah, like they get so busy with stuff that they kind of can't do anything unless there's something like life or death happening.
Yeah,
which is like a good and a bad thing. Like that's what they should be doing, but it's bad that it's only because they're so busy with a bunch of bullshit that yeah, like
well, and that's where I think it would be good. And here, going back to what you'd said about new cops being unarmed, right? Well, there's your beat cops. Yeah. They just walk around with their taser and pepper spray. They just be present, walking around, looking, taking note of suspicious things, and maybe they forward that on. It's like, hey, there's some weird thing going on here. Like, I saw this person I've never seen before walk into somebody's backyard. Maybe you guys might want to come and check it out, or maybe they check it out themselves. Who knows?
Yeah. But beat cops could be on your WhatsApp group.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Absolutely.
And like you mentioned, like here in Germany, like, you're like, I'm sure they have like a squad you could call in if you need it. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, they do. And that's all you need in America too.
Mhm.
Like you don't need to arm these cops, and you really shouldn't be,
No.
because then they're just trigger happy fools. But
Well,
if something happens, you have the squad that you can call in. You're
yeah.
calling backup anyway. So those guys jump down the pole just like firefighters, and they go out with their guns blazing. And
Yeah.
if you're in a high crime city, you just hire more of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah,
And if you're in a
exactly.
low crime city, you have like a dude,
Well,
like,
and here's the thing too, like with the case of a lot of these situations where the cops are responding to a call, right? So they're going in kind of blind with maybe it's a lot of hearsay information, right? So it's, oh yeah, I saw this thing happening, and they call 911 and say this thing's happening, or there was a guy walking with a gun, and so the cops are already heightened, going into the situation, so they're on edge. Whereas if it was a beat cop who saw that, they would have observed it themselves, and it would be a whole different situation. Like they'd be more aware of the reality of the situation, and not somebody just kind of like, oh, I think I saw a guy with a gun walking here, or somebody is breaking into a house or something. It's like, no, they'd witness it themselves.
they'd have like a home turf
Mm-hmm.
awareness,
Yeah.
like they would know the neighborhood inside and out.
Exactly. They'd get to know the cars that come and go. Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, your friends. Oh yep, it's they're looking up. Yeah, it's Saturday. That's when that I see that green car in front of the house, and they walk in, and like that kind of thing. Um,
Mhm.
that would be good. I can't see the downside of that, and that's where maybe they don't get paid as much, so you could easily afford to have more of them. And but they're in training essentially, so they're building up a experience to eventually be able to carry a firearm and get a patrol car and stuff. But for that early days, maybe a couple of years or something, they're just walking around the neighborhood. Maybe, hey, how about this? Maybe they knock on doors and introduce themselves, and like, oh yeah, hey, I'm the new beat cop in your neighborhood. How's it going? You know, like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And
Yeah, or just like be like, hey, is there, or any concerns that you have, or
mhm.
trouble that you're having? Like maybe they can be a little bit proactive. Like, oh yeah,
Uh-huh.
you know what? I've seen these kids like digging through my trash. I'm kind of
Mhm.
concerned that they're gonna like, rob me one day or something, and maybe they could just like hang out and watch things.
Yeah.
Not.
Or somebody's like, hey, there was this person I've never seen before kind of lurking around the neighborhood. Maybe just
Mhm.
kind of keep an eye on that person.
Yeah.
That kind of
So,
thing.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do things, and one of the recurring themes in American police systems is that, well, just like American anything, they don't really change the way they do things.
No. No,
They're
there's
like,
no
no, no,
reason
no,
to.
we're Americans. This is the best way to do it. We
Yeah.
don't need to change.
Well, there's no incentive to. They still get paid, right?
Right.
They're still getting paid. Like the system has no incentive to change at
That
all.
has to stop too.
Yeah.
Honestly, like that is complete bullshit.
Mhm.
Um, when you take a job like that, yeah, you get paid a little better for the danger. But if you engage in any activity like that, like firing your firearm or whatever, like you should know in the back of your head, I'm going to have to take an unpaid vacation
Mhm.
when this happens.
And
And
there might be like an inquiry where
yeah,
you're on trial essentially internally.
and the thin blue line bootlicker crowd are going to be like, wait a minute, then they're going to hesitate, not shoot. And it's like, that's the point. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, that is the
they're getting paid more for a dangerous job.
yes.
So that's good enough, right? Like
Yep.
that's hazard pay.
And
It
that
should be
comes
hazard
with the
pay
job.
and immunity.
Yeah, it comes with the job. Like you decided to take on that job, and unfortunately that means you have to take your time when you draw your firearm.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not a cop or military or anything, and I've been around situations where there's gunfire happening, like people shooting, and I carry all the time and didn't just start shooting wildly into the ether, like
Martial arts ought to be actually a requirement too, because most of what you learn in martial arts is discipline. It's like
yeah,
discipline
right.
and logic. Like, the very
Mhm.
first thing you should be doing is looking for a way to avoid the fight or
Yeah.
retreat from the fight. You know,
Well, here's the thing. This is something I've learned from like in crisis management. Step number one in any crisis management plan is remain calm. You start there. Doesn't matter if there's nukes going off everywhere or there's like you're suddenly find yourself in the middle of a combat situation. Step one, remain calm, because the if you avoid that step, you'll go like totally off the rails and make poor decisions. You have to start with like, okay, center yourself, analyze the situation, take it in, and respond accordingly. Like, and you can do that in just a matter of seconds with a little bit of practice or training. And so for these cops to do these things, even with all the training they've supposedly had, is kind of uh, I don't know. It's disappointing. You know, like what kind of training? They went to Stormtrooper Academy apparently.
yeah. God. Okay, so the Texas thing with this lady, do you know about like what's going on with the aftermath of that? Has anything unfolded there? Like, are they getting
I'm
fired
not
for that?
sure. I know that with the Acorn incident, at least the guy that thought there were shots fired, he's no longer employed.
Right.
Um, I'm pretty sure that the same will be for the two cops that shot into the house too.
I would
And
hope
this is
so.
the thing. You know what? Here, okay, I do have to say at least one positive about the current state of cops and policing. Body cams change everything, everything. And I'm glad that it's kind of a forced public thing where you can gain access to all the body cam footage from anything.
Yeah,
Um, that's good.
that's
Honestly,
important. Yeah.
it's important. But here's another thing. I have this little body cam that I bought that was like $30. Um, Non-cops ought to be wearing body cams too. So your angle is always being recorded. Like the more angles you can get from a situation, the better it can be analyzed and judged.
Is that legal?
Yes, when you're in public, yes.
Okay.
In most states, in the U.S. at least, I don't know about other countries, but at
Yeah.
least in the U.S., if you're in public or that kind of thing, yes, you can be recording.
Huh.
That, but it's like, you know what? I don't care. It's the whole judged by 12 or carried by 6 thing. Like, it's so important to document what happens when there's a bad situation that happens, that it's worth the consequences of illegally recording, in my opinion. I'm not providing legal advice, YouTube, so shut up.
No, nothing we ever say is meant to be legal advice,
No,
just
we're just a bunch of
logical advice.
yeah, we're just a bunch of idiots with some ideas about things. So don't take our word for it. Dun-dun-dun.
Oh God. Uh, yeah, if I were in a situation like not having a gun myself, where police were like shooting at me, um, I would probably look for any means necessary to first get away from the gunfire. But I would also then like take action some way, like
To
and
stop it.
if I had a gun, I would definitely be firing back at them, because
Well,
it's like that's not right.
No, it's not. And flip it around too. Look at what the cops do. If you were seen, witnessed shooting at somebody, they will never stop pursuing you. You will be pursued to the ends of the earth.
Yeah.
Like, and you never know. It might end in the cops shooting you, right? And so it's like, okay, the same should apply to the cops. They're not immune as far as I'm concerned. They're not above the law. They're not special. They just have a job. And so if they're doing bad things and things that are obviously ethically wrong, yeah, then same applies to them. Otherwise, then the rules don't matter at all, right? If it isn't applied unilaterally, the rule is null and void as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And the point is justice. They're supposed to be working toward a state of justice, and what they do is the antithesis of that. And that has always, like, some weird spidey sense in me that has always impacted me on like a physiological level. Seeing an injustice really pisses me off.
Same here.
Like nothing else. And I've often had these thoughts in my head. I've wanted to do an episode for a long time about like normalizing or creating this like culture of standing up to cops, not just for yourself, but on behalf of others. And most importantly, on behalf of others, because if you're the target of the cops' attention, there's really nothing you can do. Even if you're already armed, there's 5 of them with their guns already pointed at you or on the gun, and they're not trained, so they're just going to empty 4 clips into your body, So people out and about need to kind of sack up and get involved and like interject and be like, what's this person doing wrong? Like you have the right to do that. As far as
that's where having this kind of thing, if you like the neighborhood watch groups that walk around, they get together, there's like 10 people walking around the neighborhood and stuff, always have a body camera rolling, because that's your defense. You know, video doesn't lie, at least not until some of the deep fake stuff gets good enough to be able to do that. But it's like at the moment, I mean, especially if you have a group of people, say there's like 5 or 6 people all recording at the same time, it's pretty hard for somebody who's up to no good to say, oh, that never happened, or I never said that, or I never did that thing. Well, no, there's documented proof of that.
I've seen video of people like using their cell phone to confront cops who are picking on someone else. And I really enjoy seeing that, because that makes me happy. It's like, no matter, like, they might be kind of a dick to the cops, and that's not necessarily the right thing to do either.
No,
but
never is.
At least they're making some kind of effort to diffuse or distract from the situation.
And even that on its own might calm things down a little, as the cop is distracted by somebody else getting in there, and maybe now there's a second witness here, so I better be on my best behavior. And it's like, even if you can't change the outcome, at least you can document what happened and make it public. Because a lot of things, I mean, before body cams were basically mandated by a lot of police departments, or to a lot of police departments, got to get that straight. There were a lot of things that happened that you couldn't verify, that people would say, oh yeah, the cop did this thing or that thing, or this is how that person died, and it was just somebody's eyeballs that saw it, and there was no video proof. But now there is. We need to be documenting that. Maybe we need police for the police. But I think that's kind of what basically, that's sort of like leveling up, essentially. where maybe there's a better way, and that is dialing back what the police are tasked to do,
Yeah.
and changing the culture too, the egotistical culture of cops, like which is perpetuated, at least in the US, by the whole entire system of like, oh my God, the cops, they're heroes, they're doing God's work and stuff. Like, no, they're people, and they're just it's a job like anything else, and these are the things that they're supposed to do.
Actually, policing the police is something we do need.
Yeah.
There are like police accountability groups. I was a member of one for a number of years in the Seattle area, um, and the thing that I'm talking about is essentially just that. Like, and it needs to be just people acting on their own, not like necessarily a formal organized institution,
No,
or
no, no.
in fact, it better not be.
No,
Like,
no. Systems that are anarchistic tend to be very difficult to be corrupted and controlled by a handful of people. Like you want things to be sort of a loose group of people all sort of adhering to a particular set of principles on their own. Um, Obviously, the one thing you don't want is to, amplify the situation by saying, oh well, the only good cop is a dead cop, and start going all vigilante gung ho on him. Like, no, that's the wrong way, because like that, it's basically it's doing the same thing. It's stooping to that level. Like, no, we got to be better than that. We like every step of the way. You got to be as good as possible, and because that when weighed against the police's actions, you will be obviously in the right in most people's minds.
yeah. Uh, I guess you could almost see it as like needing Batman.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and really, like, I think we do kind of need Batmans everywhere, but
Actually,
like
this is a good
for the police,
this
like
is a good
to
segue.
yeah.
This is actually very related. What do you think about the like in Seattle and some areas of the U.S. The whole like superhero movement that happened for that brief period of time?
Oh yeah,
What was his name? The guy that kind of like was the main guy.
I
Uh,
forget.
Jones. They put, oh God, right? Oh my God, yeah.
I Yeah, maybe you can look that up, because that is a good idea. I think, like, it, not just for like satisfying childhood fantasies or something, but if there are people that have some specialized training, and like they're looking for some kind of purpose in life, and
Mm-hmm.
they've got free time on their hands, it's like you've got like a cocktail for superhero right there,
Mm-hmm.
like
Oh, Phoenix Jones, that was his name.
Phoenix Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, in Seattle.
I, I
There became
I've
like
always wanted to do stuff like that, honestly.
I think, I mean, it's sort of like taking the whole neighborhood watch to the next level.
Hmm.
And yeah, some of those people were criticized for being their response being a little over the top, but you could criticize the police for the same reasons, right? And I think
Yeah.
it's kind of cool to have everyday people, especially people who maybe have like a little bit of flourish about them, being prominent, walking around. I mean, if you're a guy that's about to mug somebody, you see Phoenix Jones in his like suit coming around the corner, you might think twice about it, because actually he had martial arts training and a
Mhm.
bunch of gear, and I guess his suit of body armor was bullet resistant too. So,
Oh, wow.
I mean, he wasn't messing around. Um,
Yeah.
I like the idea, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I would love to see more of that happen. Like, because I mean, honestly, who doesn't love Batman? You know,
Exactly.
or even Dexter,
Mm.
like, to take it to the next step, like, what about people that fall through the cracks?
Hmm.
You know, Um,
Well,
you know,
here's
like
another thing too. Somebody like Phoenix Jones or any of the people from that group, like they wouldn't necessarily always just be fighting crime. They might be helping somebody in need. Like
right.
when in your idle time you see somebody that ran out of gas or whatever, or they broke down, maybe you help somebody that fell or whatever, that kind of thing. Cops don't do that. And
Yeah.
that builds a sense of community, which is probably something we need more now than ever. Honestly, like that's something that's sorely lacking in society across the globe. Honestly, really, like everybody's so
The question
separate.
is like, did this Phoenix Jones just walk around in his costume like a beat cop, or did he stick to the shadows like Batman and just kind
He
of absurd?
he walked around like a beat cop. He was out, front and center, walking around.
I wonder what the right. I mean, maybe a mix of
A
the
mix.
two is good
Yeah.
because, like, on one hand, it would be nice if like you're known as like, oh, there's a superhero walking around. I saw something happening over here. I can let him know, right?
Yep.
But then there's also like the potential for cops and these bootlickers to be like, you're a vigilante and you're no good, and like kind of obstructing them from doing some good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like
Exactly.
sticking to the shadows might be important too.
That's true, although you might gain the ire of the police by being somebody who's acting suspiciously by hiding, sneaking around. Well, sticking to the shadows has a benefit, just like concealed carry does, right?
Yeah.
You don't know in a state where concealed carry is a thing. You have no idea going into an area how many people are carrying guns. Maybe nobody is, maybe they all are. So it can deter crime, and like just simply knowing that when you're in Seattle, there's somebody chilling in the shadows watching somewhere, anywhere, like it might make people not necessarily engage in their activities. Um,
Yeah.
especially when that person doesn't care if someone's a prostitute or a drug dealer, but only when somebody, say, steals a purse or beats somebody up or whatever, that's when they come in and respond. Like
Yeah.
I think that we do need more of that, I think.
Like when I was studying ninjutsu, there was once or twice I remember coming into class and somebody would start the class by saying like, I was involved in a fight over the weekend,
Mhm.
like, and they would explain what happened, and it was uh oftentimes these things are like coming to the defense of someone else. So like effectively what was happening was these ninjas were being Batman,
Yeah.
like they were helping somebody in need
Mhm.
using their fighting skills.
Well, there you go. I would say if people were wanting to get into being like a superhero, say, like a costumed caped crusader or something like that,
You got to
then
get the training.
yeah, it would be highly well, I mean, it would honestly be kind of foolhardy to go in without any kind of training, because
Right.
you're more at risk than you would be if you had that training. But that training also, like you had mentioned before, discipline and things like that. So you learn, like, hey, well, that's one of the things that I've learned from my martial arts experience is, it's not about fighting necessarily when you're in those situations. It's about diffusing, because the last thing you want to do is actually fight.
Yeah.
But when it does come to that, you need to be able to respond. But you can respond, but you shouldn't necessarily begin at that point. Don't hear the acorn and just start shooting wildly like Yosemite Sam or something.
Yeah. Be the change you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like, yeah, if you're gonna be a vigilante because the police don't have good enough training, well, you should have training.
Yeah, yeah, you should have training, and you need to exemplify what you would like to see things be, and not
Yeah.
just say, well, I'm going to fix this. Well, I'll just take all these criminals down one by one. No, like actually correct things and be somebody worthy of being called a superhero.
That's like actually like this is actually a topic I've had an idea of discussing before is like the logistics of Batman. And the fact that he had this policy where he would never kill on purpose anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because sometimes you can't help it or whatever, but
or self-preservation might dictate that you have to do that in that, or to preserve another life, that kind of thing.
Yeah, or like you didn't mean to, or
Yeah.
some other thing happened and you couldn't prevent it or whatever. But like without getting into too many of the nitty-gritty details of Batman comics, just that principle being one of the like running themes over the 80 or 90 years that Batman's been around, is really important, I think. Like, like as almost implausible as it might be to have an actual like note for note Batman, the principles that guide Batman are sound, and applicable to real life. Like if you were to do this, that should also be kind of your mantra.
Core philosophy is when
incapacitate, don't kill.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing is you don't always know the full story. So killing is not necessarily ever a really good option.
Well, and Batman always had the philosophy, if I'm not mistaken, that the criminal can't learn from their mistakes if they're dead.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely. And that, of course, ties into that we need a better justice system that's actually, changes people for the better. That somebody going into, say, a jail or a prison should come out the other side an improved person that learns from their mistakes and is actually now a benefit to society. We need that.
So what do you think, since we're talking about Batman, what do you think in a philosophical sense about a vigilante on the level of Dexter, where he does kill, but only people that are like serial killers, and like they're definitely going to keep doing it to innocent people?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not the worst thing in the world, I think. But again, you miss that opportunity to make the world a better place by adding another good person to the pool.
Yeah, but I mean, like in specifics, like Dexter was always only going after people that slipped through the cracks of the justice system. So like either they did their time and got out and killed again, or like got off on some technicality and killed. There was always a theme, like they've demonstrated that they're not changing, they're not going to stop, and innocent people will die if they don't die.
So that's like the Punisher, basically.
Pretty much.
Which is like the anti-Batman in a way.
But it's like there is a place in the world for both techniques,
I think so. Well, I think
maybe not within the same person, because like those are two extremes that I think are difficult to reconcile.
It's also a lot of ground to cover, because one is more of a reactive force like Batman. Like there's a thing happening right now and you swoop in and change things, whereas the other is more like a response to something that happened in the past, and now you're exacting retribution in essence, or potentially preventing further damage to society. Which I think, I don't think the two could coexist in one person. That's a lot. That's beyond what most people can handle. So yeah, maybe there would be different people who do different things.
Yeah, definitely.
And it would honestly, if you're going to end a life, you have to be very sure of the reasons that you're doing
Right.
it. I mean, it can't just be, oh, because this person hurt this person's feelings or whatever, or there's this murky, like, well, maybe they might have possibly done this, and now you go and you off them. No, it has
And
to be
that's
something cut and dried.
and like Batman, that's something that was written into the Dexter character is he strictly adhered to a code
Mhm.
where he would, you know, of course, this is an N of one, right? Like he had to convince himself that they were definitely guilty. So it's like, okay, it's not a jury, it's not like a democratic system or anything. There's not even
Judge
oversight.
Dredd.
Yeah, there's
I
no
am
oversight or anything, but he did due diligence
mm-hmm.
and determined, okay, I definitely got the right person.
Yeah.
If at the last minute he found out he was wrong, he would even let them go,
Yeah.
you know, like, and with a huge risk to himself. So, like, there are, I mean, of course, this is a fictional character, but like, there are examples of how you could feasibly have a honor among thieves situation, right?
Well, I think maybe, I guess what would be needed would be a code of ethics for superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the, I think self-policing would probably occur where everybody is like, hey, these are the principles to which we adhere, like, this is it. And if one of our people violates that, then they get some kind of consequence. Something happens. Who knows, you know? And
Yeah.
so that way it's kind of an honor system where, you know, the last thing you want to be seen as is a dishonorable superhero,
Right.
because you violated some principle.
Just gonna put this out there since we recently did a lightning strikes twice about billionaires. If there's any billionaires out there that would like to fund me becoming Batman, I'm all about that. So
Me too. You know, I'm a gadget guy, so yeah, just give me some dough and I can cook up all the stuff, all the bat toys.
yeah. Or if you yourself would like to become Batman and do something actually useful, please do. You know, like,
Yeah. Well, you know, Wayne was one of those people.
yeah,
Like, he, that's the thing. Like, he had a whole bunch of money and, you know, secretly set about trying to right the wrongs out there and do the things that the government, the system, was either unable, incapable, or unwilling to do.
you know, one of my favorite lines from I think it was the first Christian Bale Batman movie,
Mm-hmm.
where Morgan Freeman was kind of like his gadget guy,
Uh-huh.
and like some employee of Wayne Enterprises came in and was like, "I figured out who Batman is. It's Bruce Wayne or something," and Morgan Freeman's like, "Wait, let me get this straight. There's a masked vigilante beating the crap out of some of the toughest criminals out there, and you want to blackmail him." You know, like, think about that for a second. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, like, I don't want to get my ass beat," you know.
Exactly.
And that right there shows you like the effectiveness
Mm-hmm.
of doing something like that. Like, it does, yeah, like, your identity, you know, you can choose whether or not you would want to be well known or not, put the effort into hiding yourself. But the fact of the matter is, if you're effective at what you do, um, people probably won't fuck with you anyway. So,
No, they'll in fact be supportive of
yeah.
even if maybe you make a few missteps from time to time. Whereas you look at like the police force and they misstep consistently. It's almost like their MO.
Mhm.
And yeah, like, well, there's some people who are religiously supportive, and then there's some people who are religiously against them. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that really has to change. And yeah, maybe we break it all up and we have private security patrolling the streets. We've got uh, just average Joes that are superheroes by night or whatever, and things like that. And then there's maybe some SWAT team chilling, playing cards at in their facility, waiting for a call when they're needed, that have military training, and those are the people like even the superheroes call when shit like really hits the fan.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there probably are some kind of laws that prevent, legitimate above board superhero situations, vigilante justice, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, who cares? Like,
It would need to change, honestly, because I think who better to police the citizenry, the populace of a region than the populace itself,
yeah,
according to their own beliefs and principles.
And police the police too, like that. Going back to the beginning of the episode, like we really do need to be the ones that take action, and because like the justice system is in control of exacting justice on the justice system, and that clearly does not work.
No,
For obvious reasons.
Yep.
I hope they're obvious.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not obvious, you're in the wrong line of work. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, the police department has their own. Most police departments have their own internal systems.
Affairs.
Yeah, and that's where they determine whether the cop did right or wrong or whatever, and they punish them, typically paid administrative leave, which, like, okay, look, that doesn't look okay. So here's the thing: you're telling me that the response of police to the average person is a deterrent to criminal activity. The way they're behaving, the things they're doing, this is how they justify their actions, is, oh, it's a deterrent, right? And the consequences for committing crimes for the average person are a deterrent. Yet the people who are enforcing those rules, like, they don't get the same consequences if they do the same things. Like, wait a minute, there should be a deterrent for police, right? Like, in fact, they should be held to a higher standard. The consequences should be far more dire for cops than it is for the average person. Like, if a cop is found to have done wrong, they should be punished harshly, like lashing, public lashing, whatever. I don't know, something extreme, because they're the ones tasked with enforcing the rules, and they're the ones who are carrying guns and putting people in cages and stuff like that. So if they make a mistake, well, they damn well better have something really, really awful happen to them. But of course, that's never the case.
Okay, so I just had a thought, like, what is entailed in paid administrative leave? Because I was thinking, like, can they just be like, you know what? I don't have enough time off, but I really want to go to Hawaii. Maybe I'll just shoot this guy. And
oh, God. No.
But they are instructed to stay home and be available during their normal work hours. So, I mean, like, staycation is still possible.
Yeah. If you're
like, cop, not working all day and, like, playing video games or masturbating or fucking off in general. Like,
TikTok, just swiping through TikTok all day long, having some brewskis and stuff like that. I mean, that sounds like a pretty good holiday to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty sweet job, if you ask me. Like,
yeah,
you do something wrong and you get paid to sit at home. And
there is no other job on the surface of the planet that has that as an option.
How did anyone come up with this idea and not go, wait a minute, we're incentivizing doing the wrong thing. This could be dangerous.
Yeah.
That didn't occur to anybody.
Really. I'm sure it did, but they were probably outnumbered by the people who were like, hey, this is a great idea.
God, it sounds like Congress.
Oh, God. Jesus.
mean,
If ever there was a cesspool of criminals, that is it. Congress and the Senate. Oh my God. Ugh, Jesus. Where are the cops there?
right?
Oh man. Well, we talked about cops and vigilantism and Batman and all kinds of stuff. I'd like to hear people's comments down there. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff we missed, other ideas to consider, which we will definitely do follow-ups from this one.
Oh yeah,
but I definitely love to hear.
There was definitely a lot that could spin off into its own.
Sure, and if you're a cop, I'd love to hear from you, your perspective. And now, if we're going to interview somebody or whatever, probably a cop, like a retired police officer, would be better, because I'm sure somebody who's actively employed as a police officer is probably not going to want to jeopardize their job by speaking the truth. So, once they're retired, well, whatever.
Yeah. Freshly retired would be better.
Yeah.
So that they at least know like how things are currently.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, somebody that retired in Andy Griffith's day, like that was a whole different ball game back then. Oh man.
Well, if you know any freshly retired police officers, send them our way. We don't really have our website anymore for unknown reasons, but ksmvidcast@gmail.com works. So
that's good. Yeah.
Send them our way.
Or you can even just leave a comment down there with information too.
Yeah, but I mean, like, not with somebody's phone number or
No.
email.
We like just mention that and we'll get a hold of you. How about that? That works.
All right. Well.
Oh, Jesus, that was a double jinx. We were both said the same thing at the same time. How about that? We're practiced, man. 6 years, 5 years at this.
That was a damn good first episode of season 6.
Yep. Man, what a way to start it off.
Flashy new things.
With a bang. Okay, look, YouTube. That's safe. Okay, look, don't complain.
He showed that just off camera, so I don't know. I think it was loaded to begin with.
The chamber is empty. There you go. No magazine. Okay. Don't freak out. Oh man, starting off.
Probably a pretty cool song, having something to do with justice or injustice, outlaws, this and that. So that's what you hear coming in on the wind.
You're gonna like it.
I guarantee it. Upon your mind, they make you lie.